Atlas didn't publish many games for the Famicom. Chiki Chiki Machine Mo Race is actually their second and final published game on the system. They're going to develop one final Famicom game after this, since they're still transitioning away from being a developer for hire. Atlas is going to have to find success on other platforms. I can't say I'm surprised that this didn't work out for them. Chiki Chiki Machine Mo Race feels like a really weird choice for a license to pick up for 1991. This is of course the Japanese title for the cartoon originally called Wacky Races. The show debuted in 1968 and had teams of cartoon characters racing zany cars and getting into mischief. The villains of the show were Dirk Dastardly and his dog Muttley, who would always try to cheat to win. So naturally, they're the perfect choices to be the heroes of this game. From what I can tell, the reason Chiki Chiki Machine Mo Race started getting video games in 1991 was that the series turned out to be extremely popular in Japan, and at the beginning of 1991, the company managing the property there changed hands. At this point, they were in the middle of a video cassette release of the series in Japan, which was doing extremely well. So it seems likely that the video game tied into that recent push. In Japan, Dirk Dastardly is Black Mao, or Black Demon King, and Muttley is Ken Ken. The plot of the game is that there's 3 transcontinental races that you're going to be taking part in. And as Muttley, you'll platform your way through a bunch of stages and destroy the competitors. No, you don't drive in any of these races, that'd be silly. The races are broken up into legs that consist of 2 levels each, and at the end of each leg you fight one of the other racers as a boss. So that's 20 stages in all. You can do the races in any order, but there's definitely an intended progression from race A to B to C. As you're playing the game, A jumps and B attacks. By default, Muttley only has a chomp attack with very pitiful range. But as you collect bones that are scattered around the stages, this meter at the bottom of the screen will advance, and you can hit select to use whatever ability is highlighted. Most of these are permanent power-ups. After you get them once, they're yours forever. For 1 bone, Ken Ken gets bombs. And from then on, hitting B will throw a bomb in a short little arc, and it causes an explosion when it lands. For 2 bones, Ken Ken gets to bark, and that gives him a shout attack that goes the whole way across the screen. You'll be relying on these 2 attacks for the whole game. They both have distinct advantages and disadvantages. Since the bark goes in a straight line, it's much easier to target, but there's a long delay between hitting the B button and before the bark goes off. Roughly about a quarter second. And if you're dealing with a fast-moving enemy, you might have changed what direction you're facing or jumped out of the way before the bark occurs. The bombs, on the other hand, go out fast, but they'll collide with a low ceiling and require a little bit more finesse to hit things. My preference is to use the bombs because of the fast response time, but there are some cramped stages where the bark is better. For 3 bones, Ken Ken gets the ability to float in the air if you mash A after a jump. Useful for getting to some out-of-the-way pickups, but it's never required for the game. Finally, for 4 bones, Ken Ken can increase his maximum health bar by 1. This goes up to a maximum of 6, and then using this ability after that will refill your health fully. This is the only way that you can restore health in this game. The maximum health extensions are permanent until you get a game over. So if you die by getting knocked into the water, then you can still have 6 hearts. The healing properties are a very useful trick with the bosses as well, since if you enter the boss with either 3 or 4 bones, you've got 1 full heal available to you when you fight the boss. Bosses always have 1 bone in the room, so you can get an attack power-up if you die against them. The bosses are all of the cars, and that actually makes them wind up feeling pretty much the same. The patterns vary, but not that much. When you get the boss down to half health, they disappear and then respawn, and the version that reappears has a more aggressive attack pattern. Other pickups besides the bones that you'll see are the diamonds, which will give you an extra life if you collect 100 of them, and pictures of Ken Ken's face, which will give you an extra life if you collect them. One thing that I really like in Chiki Chiki Machine Mo Race is that the level design is really good here. There are 20 stages, and they all feel different. Yeah, enemies are repeated occasionally, but most stages have at least one unique enemy, and the environments are really detailed and look very different from each other. Though I'm not sure who thought the American Southwest had a bunch of raccoons and tapirs. If there's one significant downside to the game, it's that it's super easy. Once you know how to deal with the bosses, you'll rush right through the game. They throw you so many bones that you'll never have trouble recovering health, and to a skilled player, there really isn't a whole lot that's a threat to you. It's a nice, chill game, but this was the second time I ever played, and I finished at the 58-minute mark. Even though it was based on a popular show, the Famicom game for Chiki Chiki Machine Mo Race is super obscure in Japan. This is one of those games that nobody remembers. That's a shame because it is actually kind of nice. I wouldn't call it top tier, it's a little bit too easy for that, but I had a really good time playing it. It's definitely one of the better produced platformers that I've seen in a while. If you just wanted to play a platformer, you could do a lot worse than this.